My name is Rob Green. I'm an author, and I'm writing a book called Turning Wounds into Wisdom, Living a Conscious Life with PTSD. And today, one thing I wanted to talk about in this video is how we respond to ourselves after a traumatic experience. Now, one thing we don't typically realize is that our emotions are ongoing. Until we fully process them, they never really stop. This is why we have the idea of getting triggered, right? If someone says something that reminds you of something that happened to you and it brings up a certain feeling, it doesn't necessarily mean that feeling ever stopped. It means that that feeling is ongoing and it just brought your attention to it, right? And so one way we trick ourselves, and one unhealthy thing we do after trauma, is we try to move on from the experience by distracting our minds. And this basically leads us to the idea that we're fixed, we're okay, it's over, and it's in the past, I don't have to think about it. And that does work to a certain extent, but inevitably, if you live your life interacting with other people and living in the world and doing things with other human beings, you're eventually going to get triggered and these feelings are going to resurface again. And so one thing we typically do is we try to pacify ourselves. This could be through a denial system, this could be through addictions, this could be through justification, this could be an attempt to reframe the emotion. Whatever way we use, our attempt is basically to try to take that negative emotional energy and reframe it to something positive, or to basically get it out of our attention and out of the way of our minds. And in my past, I've had a lot of issues with substance abuse. I've gotten over that and I've kind of gotten to a better place now. But one thing I've noticed is that anytime we use a quick fix, there's always a hidden cost. If we think about this idea, if we relate this to building, right? When I used to live in the Philippines, a lot of the times the contractors want to collect the entire budget for a project, so they'll keep as much money as they possibly can for themselves and use the shittiest, cheapest materials they can to finish the job, just so it looks good on the outside. But eventually, if a storm happens or rain comes, you have leaky water, you have a leaky roof, you have water coming in your room, you'll have windows and roofing fly off of buildings because it's not properly fastened securely, you'll have sewage issues. All these things start to pop up when there's chaos. And so the same kind of idea can be true within ourselves, right? If we revert to drinking our problems away, if we go try to solve our problems on dating apps, if we try to make ourselves feel better, yes, it does take our attention away from how we actually feel and what's going on in the initial moment. But eventually, we're going to be reminded of how we actually feel and where we actually are. And I think one important thing to know about substance abuse in particular is that whenever you form a habit of putting a chemical in your body with the intention of changing a mood, then whenever you stop putting that chemical in your body, all the moods that you tried to suppress and all the negative emotions you tried to get away from inevitably start to arise into your awareness and arise into your field of vision, your attention. So, I don't want to make this video too long, to keep things short and sweet and to the point, is everything has a hidden cost. Just because you don't think about an emotion anymore or an experience, it doesn't mean that it necessarily goes away. It just means that your mind's attention is distracted from it. In some course of your life, in some interaction with some person, and some kind of thing is going to happen, it'll eventually trigger you. And when you get triggered, what do you really do with that? Do you keep going back down the route of pacifying your emotions, or do you actually face them and free yourself of them? Because one thing to understand about emotions, especially for men, especially if we've dealt with trauma, like childhood trauma, relationship trauma, we've been assaulted, whatever the case may be, there's a whole laundry list of stuff that can happen in life. If we basically try to just move on from how we feel and we get triggered and we do the same process over and over and over again, we'll eventually form negative, toxic habits that'll manifest in other areas of our life. And if we do this long enough and keep this up long enough, then eventually we're going to be faced with a point where we're going to have to really address some things, because this downward spiral into negativity never really goes anywhere good. So one thing to remember, emotions are binary. You either feel a certain way or you don't. You can't really talk your mind out of feeling a way you feel. If you like something, then you like it. Like if you like to drink, then you like to drink. If you like to smoke weed, you like to smoke weed. If you like smoking cigars, then that's what you like to do. If you like the taste of, steak, that's what you like. If you try to talk yourself out of liking that, there's still going to be a feeling that draws you towards it, right? Like if you're a man and you're attracted to women, you look at a woman's body, it's going to drive a feeling towards that. You're going to have an attraction to that. So it's the same with any emotion you feel. Any kind of feeling that you have, be it sadness, be it anger, be it the sense of loss, be it grief, be it rage, whatever it is, you can't really talk yourself out of feeling that way. You can just create a temporary story or a way to distract your mind from it, but that emotion is going to be there until you actually sit with it, process it, and free yourself from it. So it's a binary value. It's a 1 or a 0. Either you feel a certain way or you don't. And there's no real getting around it with the mind. This is a matter of the heart. And the sooner we realize that, the sooner we can free ourselves from the things holding us back from living a full life and being who we're truly meant to be.